Welcome back to Time Out with the Sports Doctor podcast, where life, sports, and medicine intersect. We're very glad that you continue to support this podcast. You can get the information on any platform where podcasts are played, as well as getting the video content on YouTube. But if you want to just get one place to find all the content, go to my website at drderrick.thesportsdoctor.com, and you will find everything on that website. So without further ado, let's get into this episode. Hello, everyone, and Merry Christmas. If you're listening to this on the release date, it actually is Christmas Day. If you're listening to this later, then I hope you had a great Christmas. Thank you once again for spending time with me through 2023. And I truly look forward to continuing to grow with you in the new year. One thing, I was looking for topics to discuss for Christmas, and it was suggested to me, let's talk about money topics or money tips for the Christmas season. Number one, it would be too late for that. But at the same time, we've talked about money on this podcast, and we will continue to give you helpful tips on how to grow wealth. However, today, I want to talk about something different. And if you are looking for a good money episode, look back at the episodes with Mariko Gordon talking about your relationship with money. We also have had accountants on, Amanda Hahn and Mac McFarland. We've had many different people. You'll hear an episode next week, actually, from Dr. Oberoi talking about earning wealth. But today, I was convicted to talk to you about money from a different angle. And I promise you, this is something that you have not heard from your accountant or your CPA, but it's a lesson that I've learned in life. And I've learned it to be very valuable. And it's something that's been reproducible in my life. And not only in my life, but I've seen it work for loved ones, for family members. So we'll get into that as well. But thank you once again for your time. We talk many times about, you hear people, they make these statements or they tell you a lesson and they teach you a lesson, but life can teach you in a much different manner. And that's, your time is valuable. Your time is your most valuable asset. I've heard that for years, but the longer I live, the older my children grow, it becomes more and more relevant each day. So I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate you continuing to show up, continuing to come on this podcast, because what you bring to the podcast is very valuable to me. For every guest that's been on this podcast, I thank you for those who continue to listen. I thank you for those who give me feedback. And for those who sit quietly in the back room, I know you're there as well. And I'm coming for you in 2024. So don't be surprised if you get an invitation to this show. And, I really want to open it up to people because everybody has a story. And your story is needed. Your story is valuable. And I appreciate what everyone can bring to this podcast. So, as I mentioned, someone asked me about money topics during this season. And like I mentioned, we will get to that. But I was in church a couple of weeks back and was really convicted by something that the preacher talked about. I want to share a principle of giving. So many times we feel that we don't have enough to give. I think that's a very common theme. And you start talking to people about tithing, or you talk to people about just giving, and they many times will focus on themselves and say, well, I don't have enough myself. But one thing I've learned is the more I give, the more I receive. So I want to speak to you about the relationship, two different relationships, one earning and buying, and the other is giving and receiving. So I've amassed more than truthfully I ever thought I would. I've earned more than I've thought I could earn, but I've spent more than I ever thought was really possible. As a teenager or prior to becoming a physician, I always thought that you would make plenty of money and that this money would make you rich, right? And that it was impossible to spend tens of thousands of dollars or whatever in a month. However, what I've learned in time is that every dollar you make, it's possible to spend it. And if you don't fix your spending problems, or you don't fix your relationship with money, it doesn't matter how much money you make. That's why we see so many stars who earn and amass millions and millions in their career, and you look them up years later and they're broke. It's because your relationship with money and many money principles are not being followed. But earning and buying, it's one thing to make a lot and buy nice things. That's a good feeling, maybe or maybe not. That's debatable by many. But what I found to be true in my life is that giving and receiving have been a blessing for me. And it's not just I give somebody something and I receive something back. It's those times when I'm able to give anonymously, or I'm able to give to someone that I know does not have the ability to help me in any way. And when you're able to give and able to see kind of the fruits of your labor, or the things that you worked hard for, and you just give it away, and to be able to see the reaction on people's face, to be able to know that you're truly helping somebody that cannot help you, has been one of the most valuable things that I've learned in my life. So I want to talk to you just from this scripture that was used of Luke 6:38. So Luke 6:38, give and it will be given to you, a good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over will be poured into your lap. For with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. So, as I mentioned, the principle of giving is something that you might hear from your accountant or CPA. It's usually going to be, make a donation because you need to lower your tax burden, or if you give this, you won't have to pay taxes on it. But this is something totally different. This is purely off the fact of giving and sowing into others. And it doesn't have to be money. Your time, as I mentioned, your time is very valuable. The many lessons that you've learned along the way, being able to share those with people who truly are lost, or who truly might not have an idea of how they go from A to Z. And they know that they have a vision, they know they have a dream, but they've never seen it, and they need a role model. So that's one reason why I'm here on this podcast every week, because I really want to be able to share what I've learned along the way. Many lessons that I learned the hard way, many lessons I learned later in life. But I know that if I can bless someone in their early 20s, or bless a teenager, or get that information into someone's hands at an earlier age, how much more they can do with it, or how they can grow, and not make some of the same mistakes. So don't always think about giving of your that it has to be monetary. You can give your time, you can give your resources, you can give your relationships. You can open up doors for somebody by simply sending a message to a friend, or simply making a phone call for someone and just mentioning their name, and you don't know the difference sometimes that you're going to make to give someone else the opportunity. So I just really want people to, in this holiday season, where we know that we've received the ultimate gift of life through Jesus Christ with his life and what he's done for us. So I encourage others to give during this season. And don't worry about what the account's going to look like. Give. Don't worry about what you're going to receive when you give. But I promise you, that's something that I've seen over and over again in my life. The more I give, the more I receive. And I truly believe that I'm able to be blessed to the degree that I am, because I want to be able to be a conduit, to be a funnel where I'm poured into and it's running out to other people. I truly have dreams of being able to hear conversations, to hear a student complaining about student loans, or to hear someone with a great idea who needs financing, and I'm able to take care of that on the spot, whether it be write a check or not necessarily make a phone call. That's how I want to be able to bless people moving forward. So that requires me to continue to grow my wealth, continue to work and learn new ideas and be more innovative. But that's truly where I want to be in life. So hopefully this was a blessing to someone. I hope that you're all having a great holiday season. And I hope that I will continue to see you in 2024. Like I said, I'm going to be reaching out to some of you to actually get you on the podcast. because I need to hear your story. And not only do I need to hear your story, but the world needs to hear your story. So be blessed, spend time with family. This time is something that you can never get back once it's gone. That's another valuable lesson that I've learned. Once it's gone, it's gone. Time is your most valuable asset. Giving is better than receiving. And it's definitely better to give and receive than it is to earn and buy. Totally different feeling. Be blessed. Until next time, peace.
Thank you for continuing to support this podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, then please leave a 5-star review. And if you haven't done so, subscribe so you continue to get the updated episodes. Until later, peace. Time out with the sports doctor. Keep our head right in the game. We ain't never stopping. You are now tuned in. Trust you don't want to miss. This is where life, sports, and medicine